Hey everyone, and welcome to Vancouver Island. Today is actually day 2 for me. I spent yesterday traveling here from Seattle. I drove to Canada, took a ferry over, and explored a little bit of the island, but today's kind of like the big exciting day, making our way to Tofino. I stopped at, I believe it's called Coombs. I stopped at the town of Coombs for their market. They're kind of renowned for the goats on the roof. I am at the end of the season. Today is July 4th, and it sounds like they're closing down the market for the season on the 7th. So it's the end of holiday season. It's kind of cold. Thankfully, I was able to find the goats, even though they weren't on the roof. They were in the back being super cute. They're so tiny. But yeah, walked around. A lot of stuff seems closed. I am also at the start of the day, which is fine. I am going to be making my way through some nature highways, making some stops at some waterfalls, and hopefully catching some beautiful views. Today is thankfully super sunny, so I'm going to make my way to Tofino. Definitely not close enough, but there are some sea otters out there. I saw a bunch of little heads and like black things poking out the water while I was just walking around, and I just assumed they were birds because most of the time they are just like loons and such, but I guess it's like at least 3 sea otters. How cute. super cold and wet rainy day in Tofino. I've done a little bit of a Vancouver Island trip. Vancouver Island is so big but also separate and pretty wild. Today is my first full day at Tofino and my second to last day before going home. I went to Eucalypt and did the lighthouse park parts of that loop and just kind of fell in love with how breathtaking the shoreline is with all of the rocks and the waves and stuff. I'm really excited for today to check out Tofino's shoreline, but the weather's gonna be very, very different. This trip's kind of been a little more difficult for me just because I'm in quite a bit of pain and it really sucks the life out of me, but I'm hoping today, especially with how rainy it is, it's just kind of a excuse or permission to just be slow, really embrace that winter mentality, which is another reason I really like these trips. I feel like they push me. I feel like they also make me go to places that they make me go out, whether or not, depending on the weather. And I heard a lot of really good things about Tofino in the storm season. Tofino and everything I've seen so far is definitely something I'd love to come back to in the summer. Tofino is known for, it's considered like the Hawaii of Canada. It's one of the few places you can surf. There's a lot of biking and nature tours and lots of outdoor stuff to do during the summer. But today it's just gonna be a very cold and wet and dreary PNW day. And I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, permission to be a little slow, calm, explore. I really haven't planned out much for today. I'm gonna get coffee and maybe some pie. I think there's a pie shop around. So I'm gonna walk around the downtown, check out a couple beaches, maybe go back to Eucalypt. But yeah, just be out there and be really, really wet. Drenched. My jacket's like 5 pounds heavier from all the water. I didn't have to wear the poncho out on the beach because, oh my gosh, it's a Christmas miracle. The sky is kind of breaking up. The rain is a lot less heavy here, though I do think this jacket is probably gonna get soaked by the end of the day. So not sure what I'm gonna do tomorrow in terms of keeping warm, but at least it shouldn't rain. I wanna get closer to the waves, but definitely have to watch out for sneaker waves. As you can see, like, I think I'm at low tide and it can go like all the way up. No, thank you. Ah, no, would prefer not. I really thought the rain was letting up. It kind of had like little thin sections where you could see like blue and the sun coming out, but okay. Is this recording audio? Sounds like somebody's having like a dog rave. Somebody blasting bass and dogs barking. There's a dog rave in the lines for the ferry. I'm on my way home. I am, like I said, waiting in line for the ferry. It's about a 2-hour ride from Nanaimo to Delta, which is like south of Vancouver, which is nice because then I thought I'd have to go to Horseshoe Bay, which is north of Vancouver, have to go through to Vancouver. So I feel like it kind of tightened up a lot of that travel time. But I just kind of wanted to talk about this trip a little bit. I really had a nice time, but yesterday was kind of hard. It was really wet and dark, and it was really difficult to have my camera equipment and to kind of capture moments and capture things that I thought looked really beautiful because of just how rainy and cold it was, which I should expect, of course, being January in the winter. But today and Thursday were both beautiful sunny days. The drive here to Nanaimo, which was about 3 hours from Tofino, was gorgeous. I did a couple stops, but I do wish I did a couple more just because of how stunning the fresh powdery white mountains are around like Kennedy Lake and Cameron Lake, and it's just such a beautiful drive. This morning catching sunrise was gorgeous. So yeah, the more that I just kind of checked out Tofino and learned about it, the more I'm just like, I need to come back. I really would like to come in the warmer months when we can take boat rides to like the Hot Springs Cove to see like bears and all the whale watching tours. Just a wrong time of year, different type of trip, but there's so much beautiful nature out here, and I'm really glad that I went to Eucalypt on Thursday for a little bit of sunshine that was there. Walking around that little park was gorgeous with all of the different like beaches and cliffs and whatnot. I fell in love with that area. I really loved my hotel. I had a view of like the bay. I know a bunch of the resorts have it where you're more on the Pacific Ocean. Maybe next time I would look into something like that. I just wanted to keep it kind of simple, and having that type of a view was already just so stunning. And I was able to walk around a lot. The first night I was able to walk to dinner, and yesterday morning I was able to walk around town and get completely drenched. But Tofino, the town itself is quite small. Last night, after just kind of going around debating if the sun was going to come out or not, it never did. For sunset, I regrouped at the hotel, and then I went to a local pizza and fish and chip shop, which was so charming. It was just me and the one guy that I imagine owns it. He was so delightfully chatty and 100% a local. The other thing that I noticed about being on Vancouver Island is everybody's accents. There's a lot more of that like traditional Canadian accent, and the guy last night at the restaurant, he threw out a couple A's, which I never hear people say A when I visit like Victoria or Vancouver. I hear like the slightest bit of an accent, and you know, it's nothing really to shake a stick at, but pretty much everybody that I talk to around here, especially anybody over the age of like 40, had a really strong traditional Canadian accent, which I found so charming. The guy at the store last night was telling me about, as we were just talking about, like, you know, how long are you here for? We're getting an Arctic storm pressure something or other. I've heard about the storm thing coming in for like the past week or so, which is surprising that it has been so sunny. And I asked him, I was like, does it get snow here? Because there are some mountains in the middle of the island that get snow, and I didn't realize I'd be kind of in an area where there would be a lot of snow, but thankfully there wasn't. And he was like, and I figured out on Tofino, the ocean current and the wind and stuff was too strong for snow to happen, and he says about every 30 years they get a dumping. And he was telling about the last time in 1996 when there was 3 feet of snow and all of these things, and he was it sounded so magical. I imagine it looked gorgeous, so it must have been horrendous to have lived in. He said that they were out of power for 5 days, and most people only had little tiny generators for like camping, not for really running their house. So I briefly looked, and he's like, a couple years ago there was a snow, and or he said last year, but I saw a YouTube video from like 2 years ago of somebody going surfing while in Tofino while there was just a bunch of snow everywhere. Absolutely gorgeous. Would love to experience such a such a view. So I ordered fish and chips from him, and a Diet Coke, and we were chatting, and I finished my food and whatnot, and then he's like, okay, that's $24. And I go to whip out my debit card, because when I go to Canada, I just use debit and everything just kind of changes. I never exchange cash. Like, anywhere that I've gone has accepted debit and does like the transaction automatically. And he goes, I don't have like a debit card reader. A kid like whacked my machine before Christmas and I haven't gotten it fixed yet. I was like, oh God. And I was like, I don't have any Canadian. I have $20 American. And he's like, that's fine. I'm like, I know technically it converts to, I looked it up later, it's like $26. But I would have liked to have given more. And I was like, you're going to have to, you know, go through the trouble of exchange. And he's like, I got to go to the bank tomorrow. Not a problem. Thank God I had those two $10 bills, because otherwise I had zero cash on me. I must have used my cash on other things, which I normally like to travel with cash because of like visiting free museums, free parks where they have like donations. I felt bad I didn't have anything to leave for the housekeeping. But yeah, it was so cute. And then I walked out to my car, and before he was telling me about like how to travel on the road, to like watch for ice, watch for all of these different things. So it was very helpful. But thankfully today the roads were super clean, clear, no ice, nothing, like just easy peasy, which was perfect timing. So the day that I drove out to Tofino was super sunny and great, and the day that I drove back today was sunny and wonderful. So because I was a little worried, definitely over worried for nothing ultimately, but yeah, I got in my car and he waved goodbye. Like, it was so charming. Kind of made my day, that interaction. They just made the call about everybody boarding. I think that's all I have to say about Tofino. I really hope that there have been some clips to kind of capture what it's like out there in winter. And the drive this morning has been glorious, and I'm ready to be home. I'm ready to be home in my bed.